Hello and welcome to Smitty's. I am a wood cutting fanatic who loves to run a chainsaw. I run alcohol chainsaws, ported chainsaws, I race chainsaws, and I even run the occasional vintage. Now remember, I cannot do this without you. You're everything to the channel, so please remember, subscribe, give that thumbs up, leave that comment. Today, we are going to have a lot of fun. So how you doing? Hey, we're going to be doing some test cuts on a saw here, but this video might be a little confusing. So I have little clips of different things I've been doing, some different work, and I'm just going to stick it all together on this video. And then at the end, we're going to do some test cuts on this saw. So I think there's going to be one clip from the 50. I'm doing some work to the 50. And, you know, just doing a couple little tweaks, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm doing with that saw. And then the rest of it's all on this one. This is my white 372 clone. It's that Holtzfforma 372 whatever Pro that we put a new top end on. It's a big bore top end. So I got a couple little clips from repairs, and at the end of the video we'll come out here and make some test cuts. So well, I hope I'm out here test cutting on it. So that's what we're going to do though. I'll start the video off like this, and at the end I'll come back in with some cutting and whatever else. So hopefully this works out. But alrighty, hope you enjoy it. Just a quick update on the 50. I decided to try out a 372 carb on it. So I'm currently making all those modifications. Got an impulse set up and everything. You can see here I hacked away some of the plastic just to get good clearance for the impulse line and everything. But I ordered a velocity stack for this and the foam air filter. So I'm waiting for that stuff to show up. And I'm also going to pull the flywheel and advance the timing some. So just a little update on what I'm doing to the 50. All right, so might as well show you. Did a little video of my pressure testing. The Holtzfforma, the white Holtzfforma 372 here, that I put a new top end on. I'm suspicious it has an air leak. As you can hear, I got my pump running. But as I was doing the work to get the exhaust plugged up and everything so I could do the pressure test, I noticed the cylinder is already starting to receive damage. So just, I mean, if you watch the videos, the saw ran great. You know, the air leak signs were small, but I'm starting to see damage at the cylinder, and it's quite possible it is from the air leak. So let me show you here. I'm having trouble getting it to hold a good pressure, because right now we're floating between 8 and 9 psi. See up here, I got this here. I can adjust this to affect how much pressure I got in. So there, I just dropped it. We're down at 5. You'll see I bring it up. I'm having trouble getting it to stay at one spot for a long period of time. It's fluctuating on me. But I want to show you something. Okay, there's about 7 psi. So here is a shutoff valve. This will shut off, as you see. Here's the line. Okay, it comes off to the pump. The other end, it goes from the gauge and all the way up and into the saw, right there through the spark plug hole. So when I shut this off, I kill the feed from the pump. So watch what happens. I'll shut her off, and as you can see, she's not holding pressure. We have a leak. Now I have not started spraying it yet to figure out where the leak is. So let's put some air to it. Let's see what happens. As you can see, I have all of this here going on. But that's all we do to find an air leak. And right now I don't see it. So we might be at the seals, because that's the only area I'm not able to spray right now. Alrighty, we need to do some more. Oh, she just popped apart. But there you go, quick little one on a pressure test. I'll find the air leak and I'll get her fixed up. But I thought I'd give you a little video on what I do here. Now, the nice thing about this pump is this side here, if I'm hooked up to this side, I'm on pressure. And when I hook up to this side here, I'm at vacuum. So all I gotta do is move the hose from here to here, and then I switch it to vacuum pressure, or vacuum test. So I love this pump. Best thing I ever did. And I actually didn't buy it. I pulled it out of a trash can and it worked. So yeah, I'm stoked about that tool. So the pressure test is done. I discovered that I actually don't have an air leak. The air leak I had was my seal at the muffler was not good enough. Basically, you got to put a piece of rubber in there to block it off, and I just didn't tighten the screws down enough that it kept it from leaking. So all I had to do was tighten those 2 screws up, and she stopped leaking. So moving forward, there's only one logical explanation why this thing would be changing tune while I'm cutting, and that would have to be the carburetor. So yeah, she passed both pressure and vacuum test. Everything. So that's the only explanation I can come up with, is that the carburetor itself is unable to meter fuel consistently. There we go. A little tongue twister, I guess. But there we go. I'm going to take a look at the carburetor, I think, here in a second. I got a piece of rubber here. You see it? Got a little piece of rubber there blocking the air off, just to make sure, you know. So I got to pull it off to get that rubber out anyway. I'm going to take the top and bottom off and see if I notice anything out of the unusual or whatever, you know? All right, so we're all back together. What I discovered is I really tore into it, tried to figure out things. I tore into the carburetor, and I noticed, here's the fuel inlet screen. Let me see if I can give you a good zoom in. See if you can see it. She's too pixelated like that. I don't think you can see it. What I found is she's actually full of like what looks like metal shavings. I'm betting from during the build they didn't clean the saw very well, and the inlet screen is full of metal like shavings. So that was probably causing the lean condition of the saw, and I almost didn't see it. I had it apart and I was looking at it and I was like, well, that don't look dirty at all. But then I really started, you know, looking closer and closer, and, you know, because I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then I started to notice this little, like, gleaminess to it. So I looked closer, and then I started scraping at it with my little tool here. Then I ended up pulling off layers of what looks like aluminum shavings. And she packed the screen tight. So from that point, I started wondering, you know what? I wonder what's going on with the fuel filter to allow all these small particles. So this is the fuel filter right here. I pulled it apart. And what I discovered is that this part here, you know how you're used to seeing them in there? See, I pulled it apart because I noticed this part here was flopping. Let me zoom this back out. Oh, that's bad. There we go. But yeah, I noticed this part here was flopping around in there. And so I started pulling it apart, and so basically we had a little gap basically between here and here, and it was just flopping around. So this part of the filter was doing nothing. And the screen here was the only thing that was basically acting like a fuel filter. And all those small particles and everything are getting through the system. Which is probably why the saw is starting, basically I'm noticing those fine scoring marks in the piston and cylinder area. And it's probably why the saw is behaving like it's going leaner and leaner as I run it. So, new fuel filter is installed. I checked those ones out, they don't fit. But I actually installed one of my vintage style filters, and that's what we're gonna run with. Got a new fuel inlet screen, and hopefully that takes care of our problems. We'll give her another test run, and as long as everything checks out, we're ready to go ahead and do our chain test video with this saw. And then I'm gonna set it up, and I'm gonna set it up for milling. We're gonna mill some lumber. So that's the plan with this saw. Alrighty. All right, so there we go. Now I'm happy. That tune is perfect. It's not fluctuating, it's not doing anything. It is staying exactly the way it needs to be. So definitely got those issues sorted out. Now we're ready for our next two projects with this saw. Up first, we're gonna do a chain video. We're gonna test, I forget how many chains there are. What is there, like 8 or 10 chains? We're gonna test, yeah. We're just gonna basically make a cookie on each chain, see how they time out. Actually, the one you just washed is the Steel RS. So I threw that chain on there, and it's the same bar we've been using. So yeah, I just put the Steel RS on there, and then the test wood's over here. So I can start out with that RS, make its cut, and just go down through the line. And we'll see if there's any changes from our previous results. You know what I mean? This saw has, you know, more power, pulls more RPM and everything. So we'll see how the power of the saw might change the way the chain's performed. You know what I mean? And then after we're done doing that, we're going to set the saw up for milling. We're going to mill some lumber. As you see here, these logs are all poplar, but there are, you know, this guy here, he's probably going to be the first one that I mill in the lumber. And this one over here, the next one could probably be, but there's a knot that I don't want. Like there's a section there that I don't want it, so I don't know. That one will probably just be cookie wood. In fact, the rest of this might just be cookie wood. This log here, though, definitely, I'm going to mill it in the lumber. And then I got like 2 or 3 more poplar logs that I want to turn into lumber. And I'm going to do that to use in the house for my finish work, because I need baseboards and all sorts of stuff. So that's what my plan is. The poplar dries out pretty fast too. So my plan is to mill it, let it dry out, run it through my planer, and, you know, go from there and make my own finished lumber to finish the repairs in the house. I also need a whole lot of shiplap siding, so we might venture down that road as well. I got a few other sources of wood here that we might venture into to turn into some shiplap siding later on. But for now, that's as far as we're going to go. But I hope you enjoyed this little video. We're ready now to continue on with this saw and make some more videos. Alrighty, later.